Right, so SQA hires, eh? They can be a bit of a beast, especially higher graphic communication. A bit like trying to find your way home after a seal it in the Highlands, eh?
Uh-huh. I can be a bit tricky.
I mean, I'm looking at all this stuff about design elements, line, shape, color, all that good stuff. But why are they such a big deal in this SQA thing?
Well, they're kind of the foundation of everything, Every design, from a poster for a local band to, say, packaging for a bottle of Earn Brew, uses them.
Okay, so like they're the building
And
block.
exactly. Think about it. Would you build a house without knowing what bricks or wood are for?
Makes sense. So let's talk about one of them, shape. Now, I'm no artist, but what's so special about a square or a circle?
Well, it's not just about the shape itself. It's about what it communicates. Like a circle, It can feel quite natural, kind of organic.
I get you. Like the swirls on a kilt.
Aye, exactly. While something like a triangle, with its sharp points, it grabs your attention, like a warning sign.
Right, so it's about the feeling the shape gives you.
Yeah, it's about that deeper meaning. The SQA examiners love to see that kind of understanding.
Okay, let's talk about something else then. Lines. I thought lines were just, well, lines. Like you draw them and that's it.
Well, we all start there, don't we? But have you ever noticed how a thick line, like a really bold line on a poster, makes you pay attention?
Yeah, you're right. I never thought about it.
That's the designer using line weight to emphasize something. And think about those dashed lines you see in technical drawings. They're not just random.
They're telling you something.
Exactly. Showing you what's hidden.
So there's more to lines than meets the eye.
Absolutely. Each type of line has its own purpose, its own personality.
Oh, right, like the dashed ones or wavy ones.
Exactly. The SQA loves it when you can explain why you've chosen a particular line style.
Hold on, so I can't just draw lines randomly. I need to think about each one.
Aye. Think about it. A wavy line might be great for showing movement, but maybe not on a drawing for a bridge, eh?
So lines can actually send the wrong message. That's pretty amazing. All right, let's move on to something a bit different, texture. When I think of texture, I think of things you can actually feel, like my Harris tweed jacket. How does that even work in graphic design where everything is flat?
Ah, well, that's the magic of design. You can make something look rough or smooth, even on a flat piece of paper. It's about creating that visual illusion.
I see, so you make it look like I could feel it.
Exactly. Like on a whiskey label, they might use a grainy texture to make it look like old paper. Very traditional.
Right, like to make it feel authentic.
Right.
So I'm guessing the SQA wants us to understand all this.
They do. Think about designing packaging for a product. Understanding texture could make it stand out on a shelf. Make people want to reach for it.
Okay, this is making a lot more sense now. Now, how about color? I
Hmm.
mean, everyone knows what colors they like. What's the big deal about it?
Well, it's not just about personal preference. There's a whole science behind it called color theory.
Color theory.
Hmm.
Sounds intense.
It is. It can really make or break your design, and the SQA examiners know that. Did you know red's considered a lucky color in China?
I didn't.
But in South Africa, it can be associated with mourning.
Oh, wow. So I really need to think about how people see colors in different cultures?
Absolutely. Like warm colors, think oranges and reds, feel lively and energetic.
I get it. Like a sealed poster.
Exactly. But cool colors, blues and greens, can be calming. Maybe better for something like a whiskey advert to give a sense of tradition and history.
Right. It's all about choosing the right color for the message you want to send.
Exactly. And the SQA examiners want to see that you're thinking about the why behind your color choices, not just throwing your favorite colors together.
Okay, that makes sense. So color is more than just making things look pretty.
Aye. It's a powerful tool when you know how to use it.
Right. So, color theory. It's a lot to take in. Do I need to memorize every single color combination? What if I blank in the exam? I'll be too busy worrying about if I've even brought the right pencils.
Ugh, no need to stress yourself out like that. The main thing is to grasp the big picture. Like, have you ever heard of a limited color palette?
Limited. So, like, I can't use all the colors.
Well, the idea is to stick to just a few. But it's not as boring as it sounds. Think about a good whiskey blend, eh? You don't need loads of different whiskeys, just a few good ones that go well together.
So, by using fewer colors, my design is actually better.
Exactly. It helps to make everything look unified and professional. Imagine you're designing a brochure, like a multi-page one for a Highland Games. Using a limited color palette across all the pages ties it all together nicely. And the SQA examiners, they like that kind of thinking.
Right. Less is more then. But wouldn't that make things look a bit I don't know, dull.
Not at all. You can still make things interesting by playing with different shades and tones of the colors you do use, like tartan.
You're right. Tartans look amazing, even though they only use a few colors. Okay, so what's next? We've talked about shape, line, texture, color. Is that it?
Not quite. There's another element, and it's a wee bit harder to explain, but it's important. It's called form.
Form, like those clay sculptures we used to make in art class.
Aye, that's one way to think about it. But in graphic communication, we're talking about how you create the illusion of 3D on a flat surface, like those optical illusion drawings.
You make it look 3D, even though it's just on a flat piece of paper.
Exactly. And that's where things like light, shadow, and perspective come in. Imagine drawing a ball, a Christmas bauble.
Yeah.
You can make it look round and shiny just by adding shadows and highlights.
So I'm painting light onto a flat surface, but I was never very good at art. Is this something the SQA is going to ask about?
Well, it might come up. Think about designing a logo or packaging for something. Understanding form can make your design look more realistic, and that makes it look more professional.
Okay, I see how it all links together. But what about perspective? Is that like the stuff we did in maths? All those vanishing points and things. I was terrible at that. Does it really matter in graphic design?
Well, perspective is how we see things. It's about distance, like if you're drawing a picture of a street, the buildings further away look smaller. That's perspective.
Right. So does that matter for SQA? They're not going to ask us to be architects, are they?
You might be surprised. Think about designing a room layout, for example. Or if you have to draw a technical drawing of an object. Understanding perspective can make it look more accurate and convincing.
Okay, it's all starting to come together now.
Yeah.
But I'm also realizing how much I don't know.
Don't worry. The important thing is to keep learning and experimenting. Let those creative juices flow.
Good advice. Right, let's keep going and see what other design elements we can uncover. What's next? Right, so we've talked about shape, line, texture, color, form, all these elements that make designs look amazing. I've started to feel like a real design whiz, but is there anything else?
Aye, there's always more to learn. How about value? It's a bit of a hidden gem, but makes a huge difference.
Value. Didn't we cover that with color? My head's starting to spin with all these design terms. I need a cuppa.
No, this is different. Think about a sunset, right? Over a loch, maybe. You've got those bright oranges and reds.
Right.
But then you've also got those deep blues in the water, almost black, reflecting the sky. It's the difference between the lightest and darkest parts of that image that makes it so dramatic, so interesting.
So it's not just the colors, it's how light or dark they are.
Exactly. Think of it like a black and white photo. No colors, just shades of gray, from brilliant white to the deepest black.
Right, like those old photographs. So why does this matter for SQA higher graphic communication? They won't ask us to design in black and white, will they?
Probably not. But understanding value is still important no matter what colors you're using. Let's say you're designing a poster for a concert. You want the band's name to really stand out, right? You could use a really bright color for the name and a really dark background. That contrast makes it pop. You can't miss it.
It's like using light and dark to shout, "Look at this!"
That's pretty cool. And it's not just about making things stand out. Value can also add depth, make things look closer or further away, and even create different moods. The SQA examiners will be looking for that kind of clever use of value.
Okay, so I need to think about how light or dark my colors are. It's another thing to think about. Any tips?
Well, contrast is a big one. Remember that sunset? It was the contrast between the bright colors and the dark that made it so striking.
Right, so if I'm designing a label for a whiskey bottle, I might use a dark background to make the gold lettering really shine.
Exactly. But it doesn't always have to be high contrast. You can also use subtle changes in value to create a sense of depth, like in a landscape painting.
Right, those mountains in the distance always look lighter than the trees close up. So, like those 3D posters, but I can do it with just light and dark.
That's it. And understanding value is helpful for all kinds of designs. Posters, logos, packaging, even technical drawings. So it's a good skill to have for the SQA.
This has been brilliant. We've learned so much about shape, line, texture, color, form, and even value. I'm almost excited to tackle those SQA exams now.
Almost, eh? I hope you're feeling more confident. Remember, design is all about experimenting and finding what works for you.
I keep practicing, everyone. And remember what we talked about today. Think about how you can use all these elements to create amazing designs that truly capture what you want to say. Maybe design a poster for the next Seal It.
That's a great idea. Remember, have fun with it.
Right. Well, it's been grand talking to you. Until next time, Slantum Hoff.